I've been wanting to talk about the current state of refereeing in the league for a very, very long time now. And I feel like in the game yesterday, the Lakers were playing the Hawks. There was a specific play where Talen Horton-Tucker got a foul on Trae Young. And that was just like the final straw for me. I couldn't just hold back anymore. I had to give my thoughts on this because I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And it's honestly frustrating for me, and I'm sure a lot of other fans, because it's really hurting the product that we're watching on a night-to-night basis. So if you don't know, these past 2 years, Trae Young has been very, very good at drawing fouls. Last season, he averaged 9 free throws per game, and this season he's averaging about 10 per game. But last season, it wasn't really talked about as much because the Hawks were complete garbage and they were near the bottom of the standings, didn't get much media coverage. But this year, they're actually doing pretty decent. At the making of this video, they're 10-10, so they are getting a lot more coverage, and people are starting to see that Trae Young is a guy that really knows how to draw fouls because he knows what the referee's tendencies are, right? He knows what types of fouls they're gonna call, and I gotta give him credit because he's very intelligent and he's able to draw those fouls. So whether you think those are cheap foul calls or not, you do have to give respect to Trae Young for being able to draw those calls because it is a skill. If it were something that was so easy and something that everyone could do, then every point guard in the league would be doing it. Every good free throw shooter in the league would be able to do it, right? So I just wanted to get that out of the way first because I don't want to give off the impression that I think that Trae Young is some bad NBA player, because I don't. He's obviously one of the best point guards in the league, borderline top 5 in my opinion, just off the top of my head. All-star caliber player. He's phenomenal, but this is admittedly an issue that obviously very clearly frustrates me. So the play in question that I'm talking about was a scenario in which Talen Horton-Tucker was defending Trae Young, and Trae did a step back move, and he had kind of, motion to pick up his dribble. So it looked like he was about to shoot the step back three, right? And as he had picked up his dribble, Talen Horton-Tucker was jumping to contest the shot, and he was doing a good closeout. He was contesting the shot well. He was under control. It wasn't like reckless, like he was jumping like towards his body. He was doing what he should be doing, jumping up to contest the shot, but kind of jumping towards like the side of Trae's body, right? So he doesn't like jump into him. But then Trae proceeds to lean into him and initiate the contact. And this is the root of the issue that I'm talking about. It's not just that specific type of call where we have guys shot faking and then leaning into their defenders even when the defender isn't directly jumping at them. There's a lot of different types of plays that guys are using, different types of little tricks to draw fouls. And there's two main issues with this. The first one has to do with the viewing experience, right? Fans, at least in my opinion, don't want to watch a guy, and look, Trae Young's not the only guy that gets a lot of free throws, but fans don't want to watch players that get these calls, shoot 10 plus free throws a game. On some nights, Trae Young even shoots 15 or more free throws. As a fan, I don't want to watch that because it really slows the pace of the game. There's no real rhythm or flow to the game for large segments, and it's just boring to watch a guy repetitively go up to the free throw line, shoot free throws. It's not a fun viewing experience for an NBA fan. And the second issue with referees calling the game like this is that it creates a disconnect between the referees and the players because the players have no idea how they're supposed to defend. Just think about it like this. It's already hard enough for defenders as is to not commit fouls by virtue of just being within the vicinity of an offensive player's landing space, right? And I completely get that the referees are trying to protect these offensive players. They don't want them getting injuries that will derail their careers. That's completely understandable, but I'm sure as an NBA fan, you've seen so many calls where you're just thinking, what is the defender supposed to do? It's like they almost get called for a foul just because they're too close to a guy when they're closing out. It might not even be a dangerous play, but it's just the fact that it could maybe potentially be dangerous. It's just very hard to understand what the referees want the defenders to do. Do they want them to give like 6 feet of space when they're defending them? I don't understand. So defenders are already at a disadvantage because it seems as if they can't be too close to a guy when they contest their shot, when they close out, and then on top of that, when a guy does actually make a good aggressive closeout, like Talen Horton-Tucker does, not dangerous at all, not jumping directly into Trae Young's body, the offensive player is allowed to just lean into the defender, even if it's just not a natural shot, a natural shooting motion. They can just lean into them and they get the benefit of the doubt. And I just think that that's completely ridiculous. You shouldn't be able to do that. And I'm not just saying it because, I'm not directly an Atlanta Hawks fan or anything like that. I remember watching DeMar DeRozan in Toronto, and he used to do this a lot where he would, pump fake in the mid-range when he was operating there, and then he'd lean into the defender, and he'd get a lot of calls like that. And as a fan of that team, I wasn't so upset about that. It's not like when he got the calls I was saying that was a stupid call or anything, but when he didn't get the calls, when he did that, I wasn't even mad about it, because I just think it's ridiculous that that's even a thing, and that players are even thinking about this in their head. Oh, I should try to just lean into the guy. I should just put a guy on my back, like you're seeing Trae Young do in a lot of these clips, and just kind of lean backwards into him as I shoot. These are not natural plays. These are not natural shots that an NBA player should be taking and should be thinking of trying to take. And it's ridiculous that the referees are rewarding them for this. And again, my issue is not with the players like Trae Young. My issue is with the referees, because ultimately they're the ones that are setting the precedent for what a foul is in the league. And they're setting the precedent for what these players can kind of do to draw fouls. And the players are just smart to take advantage of that. Trae Young is as I said, he's a smart, intelligent player. And he's just taking advantage of the rules that the referees have set. So what do I think the solution is here? What would I like to see? I just believe that the referees need to be a lot more strict with their foul calls, right? If a guy is directly going out of his way to initiate the contact, he should not be rewarded for that. There's so many times where a player will drive to the rim and they go up for a layup and they complain to the referee because they feel like they've been fouled, and the referee's justification for not calling the foul is that the offensive player looked like they were trying to initiate the contact, and so because of that, they didn't call the foul for them. But then it's just hypocritical, because you see guys like Trae Young around the league that are doing these plays, doing these tricks where they're obviously clearly initiating the contact, being rewarded for that, all that. So I'd just like to see the referees be more strict with that, just be more consistent. If a guy is clearly going out of his way to initiate the contact, he should not be rewarded for that. I'm not saying that the referees should start calling offensive fouls on Trae Young whenever he does something like this, but what I would like to see them do is just not call anything. Don't call anything. Don't call a defensive foul. Don't call an offensive foul. And I guarantee you, a guy like Trae Young, any player in the league that does this, they're going to stop doing it, because they're going to see their field goal percentage, their three-point percentage go way down, because when they're drawing these types of fouls, they're basically just throwing it up at the rim. There's little to no chance of these types of shots going in. As you can see, most of them are missing. They're going to make 10% of these types of shots. So their field goal percentage is going to take a massive hit. And guys, they're not going to say it, but players do care about their stats. They care about how many points they average, how many assists, what their efficiency is looking like, because that's ultimately going to affect what kind of money they can get in the long term, what kind of money they can demand when they are doing contract extensions with their team, when they're in free agency. That's just my opinion, though. I think that if the referees were more strict with these types of foul calls, the game would be much more entertaining to watch. It would be more fast-paced, and the defenders would have a clearer idea of how to play defense. And as crazy as that is to sound, it would make life a lot easier on the defenders, because they would know what they can and can't do. Anyways, let me know down in the comments if you agree, if you disagree. I'd love to hear other people's opinion on this matter, because I think that it's very polarizing, a very interesting topic. I just love to hear other people's thoughts. And with all that being said, I'm out.